Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh, Kolam La, Adonai Yahweh, Bashim Shamalak Yahweh, Bashim Kakadas, Tabanas to the Paslan, Elsewhere, Millstone, Peace, Citation, Hopeful, like Shalom. And in this article, this is from the Daily Mail, and they usually make the best articles because they bullet point a lot of the details, and they really have a full extension on the whole story majority of the times. And it says exclusive, husband of Tennessee cop gone wild. Maegan Hall stands by his wife and tries to salvage their marriage after she was fired for having sordid sex romps with 6 colleagues, as she shrugs off scandal and says it's time to move on. So it says Maegan Hall, 26, of the live Virginia Police Department in Tennessee, was fired after their probe found she engaged in sexual relationships with multiple officers. And it says Hall had claimed she was in an open marriage and tried to recruit her sheriff's deputy husband of 4 years, Jedediah Hall, for swinging session. But clean-cut Jedediah, the son of a pastor, wasn't really on board and insisted he confronted his wife of 4 years for cheating, according to the report. Coffee County Sheriff Chad Pardon told DailyMail.com, "I don't know how he's doing it. He's more of a man than I am, but he's trying to salvage his marriage." Officials launched an internet probe in December after receiving reports of Hall's intimate relationships at boozy parties, hotels, and even on police property. Wow. Her steamy sexapades with 6 male officers have heaped disgrace on the small-town Tennessee Police Department. But the raunchy romp cop Maegan Hall was feeling remorseful about the wild misconduct that led to herself and 4 others being booted off the job. She didn't look it when DailyMail.com tracked her down this week. "I don't want to discuss it. I'm just going to move on and live my life," Hall, 26, declared with a shrug, her first public comment since scandal rolling the La Virginia Police Department went national. Married, Hall performed oral sex on colleagues while on duty, had affairs, and proposed threesomes with another officer and his wife, and whipped off her bikini top at a Girls Gone Wild hot tub party. Fired Tennessee cop Maegan Hall appeared to be faring well when DailyMail.com caught up with her outside her home in Manchester, Tennessee this week. Hall, 26, was fired from the La Virginia Police Department last month for engaging in sexual relationships with multiple officers. Struggled off the scandal, saying she's focused on moving on for life. Yeah, man, that's really insane. And let me see. It says 3 more have been suspended without pay, while the remaining 62 cops working at the Nashville area outfit will undergo mandatory restraining and rules, regulations, and expectations, he added. Hall cut an unlikely figure for a seductress as she stood in front of her Marshall home Wednesday afternoon in sweatpants and a baseball cap, waiting for her dog to pee in the yard. Hall told officers she was in an open marriage and tried to recruit her husband, Jedediah, for swinging sessions, but he was not on board, the investigation found. Hall, her husband, mother-in-law, hold on, 21st birthday, so, let me see. And it says she later changes her jeans and a flannel shirt to head to a nearby sports bar where she spent several hours before emerging with a stack of papers and a vape pen. DailyMail.com can reveal big-hearted Jedediah, 28, former state park ranger with a master's degree from Middle Tennessee State University, sticking with his wife and trying to work through their problems. The pair have been sweethearts since their college days, got married in November 2018, and in March of last year bought their first family home in Manchester, 60 miles south of the Music City. I don't know how he's doing. He's more of a man than I am, but he's trying to salvage his marriage. We read that. Parton said Jedediah was in training for the Tennessee Highway Patrol, but decided to pull out because of the scandal engulfing his spouse, and instead took a job as a deputy. I've offered and extended to him any resource that he needs, and all he says is, "Sheriff, I just want to work with the citizens of Coffee County, and I love doing what I'm doing." Pardon added, "I don't condone what went on at the La Virginie Police Department, but he sure hasn't broken any laws. He's the victim here. There's not a blemish on his record. He's doing a phenomenal job." City authorities launched an internal inquiry in December after a whistleblower came forward to report that a female cop was having intimate relationships with male colleagues at boozy parties, hotels, and even on police property. Lewis Powell was fired after denying he was sexually involved with Powell. Investigators were told Hall performed oral sex on him while on duty. He later confessed to the allegations. Detective Seneca Shields, who was fired, admitted to having oral sex with Hall in the department's gym while on duty. Lewis Powell was also fired after denying he was sexually involved with Powell. Investigators were told Hall performed oral sex on him while on duty. He later confessed to the allegations. Patrol Officer Patrick Magliocco, who was suspended, admitted to having sex with Hall on multiple occasions. Magliocco claimed he and his wife were in an open relationship with Hall. Wow. La Virginie Mayor Jason Cole announced Monday that Hall had been canned, along with the 4 officers she's alleged to have the flings with last year while on and off duty. Hall cut an unlikely figure for a seductress as she was pictured close to her home Wednesday with her hair in a top knot and wearing a flannel shirt and jeans. The probe led to Patrol Officer Juan Lugo, Sergeant Lewis Powell, Detective Seneca Shields, and Sergeant Ty McGowan all losing their jobs. Yeah, man, it's really insane. That's pretty much it. All I wanted to bring out, and let me see. Yeah, and her husband over there trying to salvage, trying to like pretty much revive the relationship, trying to rescue it. Is like I wouldn't do that if I was him. I would just pretty much divorce her and pretty much like have nothing to do with her after that. This is the reason why it's not good to marry, and this is one of the reasons why it's just best to not even marry these Americanized women, But with that, I'm gonna bring out a couple scriptures and hopefully make this lesson edifying to you, hopeful elect, Lord willing. And in Ecclesiasticus, Book of Sirach, chapter 26, verse 12, says, "She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found the fountain, and drink of every water near her by every hedge will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow." Yeah, and that's pretty much like that analogy could be applied like to how these women will do that in any organization that they go to, where they see multiple men, and you give them that liberty to get abroad. You see, that's where she abused herself for over much liberty. She has the freedom to go on social media, have the freedom to explore, to pretty much like roam around. And this is the reason why like these women in this country, since they have all those type of benefits and they get those type of what you would call privileges, they pretty much go as far as doing things like that. And it's a fucking shame to see that how these women really get down in this country. You could be married to them, like, in a sense where, let's say, the Americanized way of marrying a woman, doing the whole, having a wedding or doing it through a courtroom or whatever, signing all these documents and shit. Because, you see, if it was back in the ancient world, you didn't have to sign no documents. All you had to do was just have sex with her, and that's considered to be your wife. and you're considered to be her husband. Sexual intercourse is marriage. And that's the biblical, way of doing it. So, and it's like, no matter what type of good job you have, and no matter how much money you make, these women still not going to be submissive to you, and it's just a shame. And that's a real filthy ass whore. And truth say, she deserves to be put to fucking death for doing some shit like that. If it was the ancient world, he would have had all rights to put her to death. Just saying. And the whole town will have to see that. And then it's like, she's been doing this for, some time. And then you see how the rest of those men that got caught up in that sex scandal, they pretty much got arrested. No, they pretty much lost their job. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. It's like they lost their job. And now, since they pretty much lost their job now, it's like their faces is caught on the website. So any job that want to hire them is like, they're going to always see that article. And they're not going to look at those applicants anymore the same way, because of the shit that they did. Pretty much while they were on the workplace. So it says Proverbs chapter 30 verse 19, mentioning about to mention the adulterous woman. It says, the way of an eagle in the air, the way of a serpent upon a rock, the way of a ship in the midst of the sea, and the way of man with a maid. All right, showing you the way things go. And this is the way the adulterous woman goes. It says, verse 20, such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth, and saith, I have done no wickedness. Exactly. And when you look at these women, that's the type of mindset that they have over here, is that even though they're married, they still want to have, let's just say, like, open relationships, on the low. So sometimes they won't even let their partner know, and that's type of way of having relationships is completely out of order. Like, that's completely against the Most High's order. Because you see, when a man and a woman have sex, that woman belongs to that man for the rest of her life. And scriptures will tell you that. And you see, when it's coming to dealing with another man now, I got a scripture for that, a precept. I'm gonna bring it out. So now it says, Jeremiah 3 verse 1, they say, if a man put away his wife, and they go from him and become another man, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again unto me, saith the Lord. Right. And you see, when it's coming to a man having a woman, right? Like, let's say she's a virgin, you married her, you had sex with her, and in most cases you're not going to find women that are virgin. Like, in America, it's going to be hard, especially when they're already at the age of, let's say, 18. She already had, lost her virginity in high school, and sometimes they even lose it in middle school too. So and with that being said, them having like 2 sex partners in their lifetime, the scripture says, shall not that land be greatly polluted, talking about the woman, because woman is pretty much considered as property. Like, can you imagine how, when she has done what this bitch did, aside from her husband that obviously popped her, she had been popped by 6 other men on the job, and they pretty much met in college. So it's like, most likely she's been adulterous her whole life, you know. And that's another thing too when dealing with a lot of these college women, is that a lot of the times they're gonna be hella adulterous as all hell, you know. They're gonna be going to parties on campus and off campus, going to frat houses and shit like that, things of that nature. And then you already know what goes on from there, you know, when they're under the influence of alcohol. Seeing that this bitch going to bars and going to it says some girls gone wild type of party or some shit in the article, something like that. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of these Americanized women, they're just completely out of order, and you shouldn't seek to settle with them, you know. Now that bitch is comprised of multiple other men's DNA, you know, plus the previous one she had in her life, you know, from the first one that made her lose her virginity all the way down to the last ones that she dealt with, you know. And once a woman is obviously defiled to that level, you know, marrying her according to the Americanized way of marrying a woman is a fucking joke. Cause that marriage ain't gonna last long. That shit's gonna last a few years. I'll tell you that. Dealing with a woman who had multiple partners. So bring out more precepts on that. Yeah, it's in Ecclesiasticus chapter 26. It says, verse 22, "An harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband." Right? "And a shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear the Lord," in verse 25. And verse 26, "A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all." Right. And you see, that's right there, like, knowing that she committed such a scandal, and that now a lot of people on the internet, you know, even this post is being shared on social media. That's pretty much how I found out about it, because you seeing that woman like this getting down in America doing all type of fuck shit, you know, it's really an embarrassment. And she lost her job, and those other men that was caught up in that scandal lost their job too, you know. And now they're realizing that dealing with some harlot, it ain't worth your life, you know. But I'll bring out another scripture that goes along with this. It says, verse 25, book of Sirach, chapter 25, verse 25, says, "Give the water no passage, neither that wicked woman liberty to get abroad." Right. "And if she go not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh, and give her a bill of divorce, and let her go." Exactly. So that man trying to salvage his relationship, he's nothing but a fucking simp. And that's really sad that he's going out his way to try to bring back a harlot in his life. You know, that bitch is done for. That's an embarrassment to have her as your wife at that point. You know. So in 1 Ezra chapter 4, verse 25 says, "Wherefore a man loveth his wife better than father or mother. Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for woman, and become servants for their sakes. Many also have perished, have erred, and sinned for woman." Right. And you see, that's something you notice when it's coming to a lot of these wicked ass women, is that they have a lot of men to err because of them. Right. And you know, err means that they get pretty much, they're in a position of, you know, fucking up. They messed up in life, you know, and it's mostly all because of a woman, the same. And they are pretty much sinful women committing adultery in this case. And some of them even perish Because when you dealing with another man's woman, scriptures tell you jealousy is the rage of a man, and that he would not spare in the day of vengeance. And that day could be the same day that he catches y'all in the act, and then he ends up killing you, which is adulterer and adulteress. And a lot of times it's in these men's spirit to do some shit like that. They feel that anger in their spirit. Like you could just feel it deep down in your chest, like in your soul. Like you wanna, kill that bitch for doing that, and that man who trespassed into your wife. That's a natural feeling. They say in Sirach chapter 26, verse 8, a drunken woman and a gather abroad causeth great anger, and she would not cover her own shame. And it says the whoredom of a woman may be known in haughty looks and eyelids. Yeah, and even if she has a lot of tattoos, which is showed in one of the photos that on that Daily Mail, like I think that was like the last photo it showed about the article, dealing regarding the whole sex scandal. She had a lot of tattoos on her legs and taking a picture in the tattoo parlor, wearing those boot cut shorts, and when you're let's say a police officer, you're supposed to conduct yourself, especially on social media, in a professional way, because you're pretty much like a representing, the safety for the county, representing like the town, like the basically when you're a police officer, you have to keep yourself professional, like how a teacher's supposed to be in schools and things of that nature, And now because she did something like this, they're not gonna, really hire you like that. And because pretty much she's been exposed like that. So, and it says, if thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. And that's honestly how a man is supposed to keep his wife as well. Because you see, when you are the first man that a woman ever meets in her life should be the obviously the father, But with this Western society, with this whole feminism shit, a lot of women be kicking their fathers out the house, so they don't see the importance of why a man is supposed to be in the house, And then after that, whatever man that she deals with, now he's supposed to be the second man that, pretty much that's in her life. And it says in verse 11, watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against thee. So yeah, that's pretty much what you have to also keep in mind, is that when these women trespass against you, don't be surprised, And we're talking about Americanized women, because first of all, as men, we're not in our as men, Israelite men, I'll say, we're not in our full glory, and these women are not in the let's just say the right they're not in the right mindset, They're not in the right state of mind. And when you're dealing with Esau, the so-called white man, being in rulership with this whole feminism and this whole society being run by a garnarchy, these women are just out here doing whatever. And that's the reason why they have to pretty much get put, out of the power seat, because they're not supposed to be ruling over men. They're supposed to submit themselves unto their husbands, as the scripture says. This is why last scripture I'll bring out, because it really makes sense to this day. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 29, but this I say, brethren, this time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. Exactly, because no matter what you do to make your woman happy, deep down inside you feel stressed, because it's like, it's like trying to please an ungrateful ass child. And then with the chances of of still getting cheated on regardless, of how much you put in to support this bitch, no matter how much time and effort that you put in, because she claimed that, you may not be pretty much giving her as much attention, and that's why she do some shit like this. You see? That's how wicked they are. And it comes like nothing to them when they commit adultery. It's like a sport to women in America to do that because of how it's pretty much publicized on the media, like on, let's say, like in Hollywood, like how they push that on these streaming platforms like Netflix or Hulu. They have like movies and films dedicated to that, and this is Americanized films we're talking about. So that's the type of bullshit they push in the media, making it think it's okay to live like that. So that's just something I wanted to point out to the spirit, because something like that just caught my eye, and I was like, wow. When I was going through my social media timeline, I was like, wow, seeing that on the news feed. As I was going through the news feed, I was seeing that shit, and I was like, damn, these women are really just out of order, and this is the reason why the Lord got to come quick to, with this Jacob's trouble, to really snap them out of their bugged out state of mind and put them in their place. So, with that, I hope it made us edifying. Let's give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bashem, Shamalak, Yahushua, Bashem, Kakadash, the honors of Apostle Elsgate Millstone, peace, I teach you, hopefully, Yabashem, Shabbat, 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 Shalak, Yam, Arawanyam, Wakoyam, Wa, Ababa, Boss, Hawan.